I'm Candace Scalise, and you're watching 21 Next here live from the CBS 21 studio. We are talking to some of our awesome reporters today, Andrew Klein and Alex Thill, about two really impactful stories. And I want to start with Alex because she has been talking to people who have been stuck inside their homes because their elevators broke after a fire. Alex, it's been almost a week now. And I know some of these families have pets. Some of them are disabled. They need the elevator really to leave their apartment. So what did you find out today? And where is this happening?
Exactly, Candace. Well, this is happening at Hoy Towers in Swatara Township. And the elevators went out because of a fire that happened in the building on Thursday. And thankfully, the sprinkler systems worked to put out that fire. But unfortunately, that water from the sprinkler systems triggered some sort of electrical mechanical problem inside the elevators. So that's the reason that they went out. Now, we do have some really exciting updates about this. I actually got a call from the executive director of the Dauphin County Housing Authority right next door. And I got this call around 1:30 today. And she tells me that one of the elevators is now back up and running. There are two elevators in the main in that building right there. One of them is still down, but I did speak with people who live in the building today. And like you just mentioned, people who have dogs. One man in particular I talked with today, he has a service animal his service animal is trained to not go over curbs because the service animal is partnered with can't walk on steps. So the dog knows not to go down steps, so won't go down the stairs. So the dog hasn't been outside in a week. The man hasn't been outside in a week. So he's had to train his dog to essentially go to the bathroom inside his apartment until this can be resolved. And his 68-year-old niece has been the one bringing him groceries. And he's not the only man inside this building who has been having issues like that. It is an affordable housing unit. So there are a lot of seniors. There are a lot of veterans, some disabled people. So it has been a really big issue for these people. So I'm glad that there is at least one working elevator now.
Yeah. Did they say why it's taken almost a week to fix that elevator?
They did. They told me that, unfortunately, it wasn't just a cut and dry situation that something could be fixed right away. They did need to order some parts for the elevator that were delayed, that couldn't be necessarily on site at where they needed them in time. So that's what's wrong with the second one also as well. The executive director of the Housing Authority tells me that on Friday, she expects that second elevator will be up. But again, she tells me they're at the mercy of when those parts get delivered, and she just doesn't have control of that.
Yeah, just a terrible situation for those who have been stuck inside. Did they say anything about what they're going to do for these residents, if anything, who have been stuck inside, who haven't been able to get out of their home?
So from what I've heard today on both sides of the story, the residents I talked to tell me, unfortunately, they feel as though not much has been done, and that they haven't really heard much. They haven't had any sort of updates about when things are happening. Some people tell me that the elevators were supposed to be open today. Somebody told them that, but again, that didn't happen at the beginning.
Lack of communication.
People were frustrated. Yeah, so there was a lot of lack of communication. But on the other hand, when I talked with the Housing Authority, they tell me they've gone knocking door to door on every single apartment in this building, and that sometimes people just don't respond. That who you're looking at right now is the man who can no longer walk downstairs. Thankfully now the elevator is back up. But so it seems to be like there is some miscommunication on both sides, where the Housing Authority is saying they're doing one thing, people who are living in the building say another is happening. So there definitely is a bit of a miscommunication there.
Yeah, well, good news that at least one elevator is working. I know that's going to be a relief, especially those on the top floor too. That's a lot of steps to climb. Alex, thank you. We appreciate it. Let's turn now to Andrew Klein. He is going to be in Harrisburg, and we're talking about some disruptive minors downtown. So, Andrew, there is a curfew in place for people under 18, but it sounds like that is not stopping people from doing really illegal activities. What did you learn today from some local business owners impacted and the city?
Yeah, well, I spoke to a restaurant owner right here on Restaurant Row in Harrisburg, right on 2nd Street. He told me that he's seen minors, disruption, all sorts of issues. The big one that stuck with me, he says he's seen kids hanging out at the bank, and then once the bars let out, they'll go up to the people coming out of the bars, and they're going to buy alcohol off of them. And then these underage kids are now drinking in the streets of Harrisburg. So not only are they breaking curfew, but they're out here. They're drinking alcohol, which is, of course, not allowed. They're causing disruptions. There's broken windows and different things. Now, I don't want to attribute that to anybody because we don't necessarily know, but there are a number of issues that restaurant owners are having in the downtown area, and it worries a lot of them to the point where they want they went to Mayor Williams and they spoke to her themselves, and that's when they were finally able to get some of those answers. But really, it was the change that they were looking for that they were kind of able to get once they spoke to the mayor. But it took until all of these business owners went right to the mayor and said, here, these are the problems that are going on in our city right now. They need to be fixed.
So what did the mayor do? How did she respond? What's happening next?
Well, she was shocked, first and foremost. She did not know exactly what was going on downtown, but she responded by adding police force downtown at night. I was told by the gentleman I spoke with earlier that there was a makeshift like van jail that they were, arresting 8-9 people in those, crazy late night hours where these disruptions were happening. So that was able to fix the problem. And not only has it stopped people that were doing those bad things, but it stopped people from coming out here and even wanting to do that. He said the streets have been completely cleaned on the weekends and all has been good. So a major change coming from the mayor. And as she did that, it was, you could see the change in the, I asked him, how quickly did it take until he saw a real substantive change? And he said immediately he saw it completely changed.
So I understand she is speaking on Friday at a press conference to address this further. It'd be interesting to find out how many minors have been arrested, what charges they're facing, that kind of stuff. Sounds like these business owners are pleased. Anything else you want to add? Because you found out a lot of information about what exactly was happening.
Well, not to the information, but I think an interesting thing that I was told today was that the restaurant owner wants the parents to know what's going on. And he says he thinks he knows that the minors know the consequences of a lot of their actions, but sometimes the parents haven't been really addressed directly. And he thinks that's what the mayor is going to do on Friday in that press conference. I think that's certainly something that we could see, parents having to crack down a little bit more because, the city can only do so much. It's a collaborative effort from each entity to stop this entire thing. And if, parents don't know where their kids are, that's a major problem. And that's something the city has to address as well.
Yeah, I know that the mayor's talked about that before after they had some chaos at July 4th last year where there was some gunshots. And they've talked a lot about parents stepping up and getting involved and the resources available. So we could hear some of that from the mayor as well on Friday. So that's happening 10 a.m. Friday, but sounds like you got a lot of information from that business today who's also band together with some other owners to address the issue. Sometimes you got to do it yourself, right? Take it to the powers that be and say, this is what's going on. Thanks, Andrew. We'll see you tonight at 5 and 6. Andrew Klein there. Heading downtown for our live reports later on today. That's going to do it for CBS 21 Next. And I do want to mention, though, bears have been spotted in Susquehanna Township. They're roaming around. So we have Maxine reporting on that tonight at 5 and 6. What you can do, there's a website called BearWise, WISE.org that you can go to learn more information about how to live with bears nearby. So she's talking about when they're most active, what you can do. She has some video from neighbors who have spotted them. It can be really scary, especially if you have young kids roaming around outside and then there's a bear and a mama bear at that too, because they're pretty protective. So we're talking about that and the state budget as we are 44 days late. And we do know that the Senate passed 2 bills last night, but are they going to make it out of the House? We'll have those answers for you coming up tonight on CBS 20 News at 5 and 6, and then again at 10 on the CW and 11 o'clock on CBS 21. Thanks for joining us. Happy Hump Day. Make it a great one. See you guys later. Bye.